15 free throws, 15 makes, 0 misses, overtime, everything on the line. And Caitlin Clark stood at that line like she'd done it 1,000 times before. Indiana Fever 114, Chicago Sky 106. But this game wasn't just about one wild night in Indiana. This was the moment Caitlin Clark silenced every single person who ever said she couldn't close. Rewind 12 months and this woman wasn't even on a basketball court. A groin injury ended her 2025 season entirely. A coaching clash went viral. Trade rumors exploded across every sports platform in America. And yet here she was, perfect. Literally perfect when it mattered most. So how did Caitlin Clark go from injured, benched, and doubted to delivering the most complete performance of her career? That story starts with the worst year of her basketball life. The 2025 season was supposed to be Caitlin Clark's crowning moment. After a record-breaking rookie campaign that changed the entire landscape of the Wnba, expectations were at an all-time high. Instead, her body completely fell apart. She suffered a strained quad 4 games into the 2025 campaign and was ruled out for multiple weeks, returning 3 weeks later after missing 5 games. She was hoping to settle back in and make a playoff push, but she injured her groin in her 5th game back on June 24. Then the one that ended everything arrived. She returned on July 9, played 4 games, and suffered another groin injury in the final minute of the team's July 15 contest against the Connecticut Sun. She hasn't played in a game since. She had never missed time due to an injury in her collegiate and professional basketball career before this season. Not in high school. Not at Iowa, not as a rookie, and suddenly she was sitting in street clothes watching her team play without her. Clark said, "I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling." Here's what made it sting even more. The Fever actually made the playoffs without her. They pushed all the way to the semifinals before Las Vegas eliminated them. Indiana proved they could survive without Clark, but surviving and thriving are two very different things. She wasn't just a player, she was the product, and now the product was sidelined. But the injury was only half the battle. What came next nearly tore the whole thing apart. Clark's return to the court in preseason 2026 was rough, rust everywhere. The shot wasn't falling, the burst wasn't quite there. People whispered that maybe the injuries had taken something permanent. Then opening night arrived, Dallas versus Indiana. The game marked Clark's first regular season appearance since last year, when she was limited to just 13 games because of a season-ending groin injury. Dallas outlasted Indiana 107-104, but Clark finished with 20 points, 7 assists, and 5 rebounds while making WNBA history by recording her 1,000th career point. She wasn't back to her best yet, but she was back. And then the dominance started stacking up. Indiana grabbed their first win with an 87-78 road victory over the LA Sparks. Clark then produced 21 points, 10 assists and 7 rebounds in the Fever's 89-78 win over the Seattle Storm, marking her 12th career game with 20-plus points and 10-plus assists, setting a WNBA record. Stephanie White pulled her off the floor on triple-double watch. She came back from a minor back tweak against Golden State and dropped a quarter so overwhelming the game was effectively over. Everything was clicking, shots falling, assists flowing. Indiana was building something real, and then Portland happened, and everything blew up. The Portland game wasn't just a loss. It was a disaster that nearly fractured the franchise. Clark and White had an animated discussion during Indiana's 184 loss to Portland. Clark was limited to just 22 minutes after picking up 5 fouls, but the score wasn't what went viral. It was the sideline. White appeared to scream at Clark. Clark responded. Then White benched her. The clip exploded across every platform within hours. Then the speculation went nuclear. Fever fans flooded social media with conspiracy theories, accusing coach Stephanie White of undermining Caitlin Clark. Jason Whitlock made a bombshell claim that the Indiana Fever were planning to trade Clark to the Los Angeles Sparks. That post racked up more than 2.2 million views. However, no team officials, league insiders, or credible reports have indicated that Clark is available in trade discussions. None of it was confirmed. But the damage was done in the court of public opinion. Fans picked sides. Media personalities wrote think pieces. The narrative became bigger than basketball itself. And in the middle of all of it, Caitlin Clark had to figure out how to keep playing. What she did next proved exactly who she is. Clark addressed the noise head-on. She told reporters they're just two competitive people who want to win, noting the team was in the midst of a lopsided loss that dropped them to 4-4. She said, "We can't control the outside narrative," referencing the online reaction, adding, "We can't control where people choose to take a snippet of an instance in a game or whatever it might be and run with it." Then she went even further. Clark said, "There's a lot of people out there in the media or on TV that they think they know a lot of things, but they're just blatantly wrong about a lot of things. And I ride for Steph. I ride for these girls. Steph has my back more than anybody." She also expressed gratitude to White for emotional support during her injury, saying, "When I got hurt at the Connecticut game last year, I bawled in Steph's arms." And then she let her game do the rest. Indiana beat Atlanta. Then Washington. Back-to-back. And the Washington game, Clark drilled a 31-foot buzzer-beater three-pointer to win it 78-76. The kind of shot that doesn't just win a game, it rewrites an entire narrative. But the Liberty brought reality crashing back. New York exposed Indiana's free throw shooting in a fourth-quarter collapse. The question lingered, could Clark and Indiana actually finish games when it really mattered? One night against Chicago answered that permanently. The first quarter belonged to Indiana. They outscored Chicago 16-8 with Clark in attack mode from the first possession, driving the baseline, drawing fouls, getting to the line before Chicago's defense could settle. Then Chicago punched back hard. The second quarter flipped the energy, Sky 26, Fever 19. Sidney Taylor came off Chicago's bench and started catching fire. By the end of the night, Taylor would finish with 30 points on 10 of 14 shooting, 7 threes, and a true shooting percentage above 90%. From the bench, that's not a normal performance. That's historically efficient. The third quarter was the crisis point. Chicago detonated for 39 points. Their lead ballooned to 11. The game felt like it was slipping away in the exact same pattern as the Liberty collapse. Turnovers piled up. Clark's three-point shot was frozen. She'd finish 1 of 6 from deep. The momentum had completely shifted and Chicago smelled blood. And then the fourth quarter happened. Indiana outscored Chicago 25-9, 9 points. That's all Chicago could muster in 12 minutes against a Fever team that simply decided they weren't losing. Clark attacked the rim relentlessly. She stopped looking for the three that wasn't falling and started hunting contact. Aaliyah Boston began dominating the paint. Indiana clawed all the way back from 11 down and forced overtime. Chicago still held a 5-point lead heading into the extra period. What followed was complete domination. Indiana 27, Chicago 14 in overtime. Clark stepped to the line over and over. 15 attempts, 15 makes. Not a single miss with the game on the line. She picked up a technical foul during the overtime chaos, processed it in about 0 seconds, and calmly knocked down the next free throw. That's the mentality. That's the goldfish brain that forgets the last play and locks in on the next one. Her final stat line read like fiction. 32 points, 8 of 18 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 15 of 15 from the line, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, plus 14 on the floor. She scored 14 points in the paint on 58% shooting from 2-point range. When her signature weapon, the deep three, wasn't available, she manufactured an entirely different way to produce 32 points. That kind of adaptability is what separates generational players from everyone else in this league. Clark didn't do this alone, and that's what makes this performance even more dangerous for the rest of the league. Aaliyah Boston had 34 points and 12 rebounds, and Clark added 32 points and 10 assists to become the first pair of teammates in WNBA history to have 30-point double-doubles in the same game. Let that sink in. First time ever. Boston grabbed 7 offensive rebounds and converted those possessions into 14 second chance points. Every offensive board she hauled in resulted in nearly 2 points of scoring. She was fighting for position inside, winning battles against Chicago's bigger frontcourt, and finishing with a physicality that had no answer. That presents a problem no team can solve. You can't scheme for Clark's playmaking and three-point gravity while also accounting for Boston dominating the paint. Pick your poison. Maisha Hines Allen only scored 5 points but finished with a plus 25 on the floor, the highest single-game differential of anyone on Indiana's roster. 9 rebounds, 3 assists, a block. She gave Indiana everything without needing a single play called her way. Lexi Hull grabbed 7 offensive rebounds from the wing position. 7. That's the kind of hustle that never shows up in highlights but absolutely shows up in wins. Indiana's 19 second chance points were built on Hull and Boston refusing to let possessions end. Kelsey Mitchell added 19 points and 3 steals. Not her flashiest night, but her defensive disruption created extra possessions that mattered when every bucket counted. This wasn't a one-woman show. This was a roster clicking at its highest level when the game demanded it most. Indiana sits at 8-5 with 3 straight wins and real momentum building. Clark's 3 career 30-plus point, 10-plus assist games are the most in WNBA history. The rest of the league combined has 4 such games. Time magazine also put Caitlin Clark among the 100 most influential individuals in sports 2026 for her impact. The problems haven't vanished. 18 turnovers against Chicago turned into 20 points the other way. In a game decided by 8, those turnovers were the entire margin of stress. Clark had 5 herself, and that number has to shrink before Indiana faces teams with Liberty-level defensive pressure. The trade rumors haven't fully died either. Whitlock claimed that Indiana's win over Washington felt like an ending to Clark's career playing for the Fever or under Stephanie White, but rumors suggest that's far from reality. Both Clark and Boston are currently under contract and won't be going anywhere. And as one outlet put it, shipping off a once-in-a-generation cash cow would be the most boneheaded decision in sports history. And when the biggest moment of her 2026 season arrived, overtime, everything on the line, three-point shot completely absent, she walked to that free throw line 15 times and made every single one. That's not luck. That's not a fluke. That's a player telling the entire WNBA exactly who she is. And if you're still doubting Caitlin Clark after that, you haven't been paying attention.
Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. Share this video with your friends so they don't miss out on all the drama and excitement.